We're talking Eufaula education with Miss Holly Blain. And she's here today, and we've been observing one of her classes. You're a English language specialist, is that correct? Or?
Yes, sir. My title is EL coach, an English learner coach.
Okay. Explain that to us.
Well, I work with children whose first language isn't English. Now, that doesn't mean they weren't born in the country. It's just their families don't speak English from the start. So they come to me and to our other EL coach, Stephanie Wirtz, who works at the primary school, and we help them to acquire English for academic purposes.
Turtle.
Okay, good. So, turtle.
Turtle.
What am I going to write?
Live in the fresh water.
So, turtles
Turtles
live
live
in
in
the
the fresh
water.
What is the size of your typical class?
Well, this is actually my only set class, and it has 4 children. But then I pull groups of 2, sometimes groups of 3, but mostly I go in and work with teachers to help them with strategies on how to help their ELs.
When you deal with teachers, what do you find is their response to this situation?
It varies. Most teachers are very receptive. They're very appreciative of the help. They see me as a professional and I see them as a professional. And most teachers I have a really good working relationship with. Now, I mean, there are always some teachers that are a little difficult to deal with, but that's just because they're usually apprehensive. Once you can break down the apprehensive barrier, they're fine.
I'm really surprised when I do research to find out how many people in a given area are not U.S. citizens. They are not natural citizens. They have been naturalized. One market that I worked in, our Hispanic population was 20%. I had no idea. No idea. I think the people of Eufaula don't realize. What would you say our percentage of people speaking Spanish are in this area? Or do you even know?
I really don't know the percentage. I know that every year it's getting more and more, though. Last year we saw kindergartners. We saw at least 20 kindergartners who did not speak English, and that isn't all of the Hispanics. And it's not even just Hispanics, too. We have quite a big Asian population. Sometimes they don't come into our program because they speak English well enough that they don't need to screen in. See, we have a process. The first thing we do is send home a home language survey, and it has 4 basic questions. And basically it says, does your child speak another language at home? If they say yes, then we have to screen them with the WIDA model. And it's a very comprehensive test. It tests listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And if they score a 4.8 out of 6, then they do not screen in the program. If they score a 4.7 and under, they screen into our program. They can be in our program anywhere from 1 year to their whole school careers. They have to make a 4.8 on our end of the year Access for ELL's test to test out of the program. Then when they test out, we monitor them for 2 years to make sure that they don't slip. We had a lot of kindergartners exit last year, and we have to monitor them because as they progress through school, the language gets harder. And language is vocabulary. It's also syntax, which is the grammar. Certain content areas have certain syntax. History is past tense, but then there's also conditionals like if, then. If this happens, then this will happen. Also in science, there's just so much more to language than you realize on the surface.
When you look at these language difficulties that some students have, how does it affect them as they get near graduation?
It really affects them in their writing. When I talk to some of my ELs, and I have kids who, they've been here since kindergarten, but they can't seem to get out of the program. We call them the lifers. Their biggest problem is honestly giving information from point A to point B. And it really affects their writing because they want to write like they speak. And it's really hard getting into the writing for academic purposes versus speaking in a generalized setting.
I know that in this community, you also work with adults.
Yes, sir.
In the evenings. Those are quite large classes from what you were telling me.
Yes, sir.
What size are those classes and what's the issues there?
When we first began, I think the very first night we had about 50. Now, the main issues we're seeing with the adults is when it's the same issues. They come in and they're timid. They want to learn English so they can help their children. That's where they don't feel like they can go to parent-teacher conferences. They don't feel like they can go to some of the not professional development, but the workshops we offer for parents because they don't understand. Well, they come to us, and we actually, Stephanie was telling me that they had a parent come to one of the conferences, and she was so excited because she could talk to the teacher. And that was something we were able to do. And it's a good feeling being able to help them from when they're little bitty to when we have granddads.
Mhm.
I mean, our oldest man is 68, and it's a good feeling.
When you look at the overall populace of the area, going back to that again, do you think that this is a overutilized program, underutilized program, or about right?
Well, you can't really say if something is overutilized because, and I can't say it's underutilized either because it's always changing. It's never going to be static. Our population is going up and up. When we first started 3 years ago, we had about 40 kids, 50 kids. Now we have about 90. So, I mean, the population is exploding. And we're seeing parents who went through the school system having children. So it's not like they are graduating from high school and leaving. They are staying, they are having children, and we are teaching their children.
Of all the different people that have been involved as students in the program, both adults and children, how do you see that it's changing their lifestyle? Are they speaking English more at home now than they were in the beginning?
Well, I wouldn't say they're speaking English more at home, and we really don't encourage them speaking English more at home. We really want to see our children become bilingual, and that really does mean speaking, reading, writing in both languages. I tell my children all the time, I wish I were truly bilingual. I can speak a little Spanish here and there, but nothing like what they can. And I tell them if they can hone those skills, when they graduate, their doors are open for them because they are truly bilingual. So we don't encourage them to stop speaking Spanish at home or to limit Spanish. We do encourage them to spend more time speaking English. Even if it's just an older sibling, okay, help your little brother or sister read in English. Help your sister or brothers do what your parents really can't help you with.
When you look at all the areas that we've covered, is there anything else that you'd like to point out to us before we conclude this?
Well, I do want to point out that this is a program that's very near and dear to the hearts of the people that work in our program. Stephanie Wirtz, the EO coach for the primary school, Sheila Scarborough, our supervisor, Ann Schaefer, our parent liaison, and Mitzi Clayton. It's all very near to our hearts, and we're very passionate about the program. And we just want to see our kids do something with their lives and make an impact because we're educating the future. And these are the kids that are going to run the country one day. And we also think that, having culture around helps the other kids, the kids who are only English speakers. It helps broaden their horizons too.
All right. Well, we've been talking Eufaula education, an interesting program and one that I hope continues.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There are no